Hi, hello, it's me, Julian Greystoke, and we're here with another writing video. People have been asking me to do more videos about writing, and so I'm here to oblige. I decided let's make another video with some more of my tips for pantsing your book. Yes, that's right, we're still calling it pantsing around here. You can call it discovery writing or whatever else you want to call it. I like pantsing because it sounds funny, and around here we do not take ourselves too seriously. Speaking of not taking ourselves seriously, we always have to disclaim here that I am not the god of writing. I am but one writer that you will run into in this magical world, and all of us have different methods, different styles, different strategies. So if one or more of the tips that I give you here today do not work for you, feel free to discard it by the side of the road and never look at it again. Because that's the thing about writing tips. They are tips. They are not hard and fast rules.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
Now, if you are a hardcore plotter and you're just watching this for funsies, hi, all of this is going to sound wrong to you. It's going to sound baffling. But if you're either a pantser, you're starting out, you're considering trying to be a pantser, hopefully some of these tips will be helpful to you. Let's get started. In no particular order, my tips for pantsing your way through a book are: number one, take notes as you go. There's a common myth about pantsers that we are disorganized and don't know anything that's going on in our story, but we do. We just kind of do it backwards. We don't take notes beforehand, we take notes as we go. I often say that I am my character's scribe. I am just writing down the adventures that they have. So I've got a whole notebook, it's not in here and I don't feel like going to get it. A different notebook for every single project. I usually pick out a really cool special looking notebook, so like I feel extra cool every time I have to like jot down some notes, but in it I have names, places, facts. So for me, taking notes as I go, as I encounter these things, is the way to go because I can always refer back to it. Shoot, what did I name that city that I thought I would never mention again, but I cleverly wrote the name down in my book? Oh, hey, there it is. My number two piece of advice for writing a book is kind of wibbly wobbly, and it's to figure out whether you are the type of writer who has to write in order or you can write out of order. I have to write in order. That's just the way my brain works. I cannot write out of order. It would be a confused mess. But some people can, and I've heard pantsers who have had huge success writing out of order. So experiment a bit and see if a different method works for you. Just try it out. Number three is get to know the characters as you go along versus beforehand. So one major difference between like me and people who plot is that while I have some idea of my main characters, don't know everything about them until they essentially show me as the story goes on. And again, this probably sounds backwards, baffling, and impossible to plotters, but that's how I do it. And if I discover something about the character that contradicts what I've already written about them, it's okay to go back and change it. You can change things whatever you want.
I've known some people who, when they're drafting, are very reticent to change anything during the drafting process. And while I agree that you don't have to make big changes while you're drafting, it's also okay to do so, especially if it really helps your brain organize things. Some people I've encountered, I'll give advice like, hey, wouldn't it be better if the character did this? And they'll go, well, I already wrote that scene. And it's like, yeah, but you could change it. You can change it.
Number four, I'm gonna read this one because it's long. Describe places and people like this is your first time seeing them, because it is. Planning out these things can sometimes lead you to knowing what you mean, but not being able to get the description across on the page because you've already described it in your plan. So I find that discovering these things as I go, as the characters discover these things, is a really good way to help me describe the things because I'm seeing them, quote unquote, for the first time too. So it allows my brain to go, what would I notice in this situation? And then translate it to, what would this character notice in this situation? Sometimes it can lead to over-describing, but that's okay because you can always go back in and take stuff out. And I do have a video about, I believe, describing characters or just describing things in general, so link somewhere. Number five is correct big details as you go, but leave small stuff for later. So if I'm writing along and I find I'm like near the middle or end of the book and I need to contradict something big that I have said at the beginning of the book, I will go back and change it at the beginning of the book. while I am drafting. But small stuff, like say I want to change somebody's name or a little bit of dialogue, I leave that alone. That is for the editing process. So if you are chugging along and you need to change something big, consider just changing it right away. And on that same note, number 6, you can stop a scene midway and change it or replace it or rearrange it if you need to. I've been doing that a lot with Adventure Mage 3, where I have been able to swap some scenes around because the characters are separated from each other for a while, so we have the different points of view. And with them being separated, I can easily take one chapter and put it somewhere else. So don't be afraid to stop a scene midway because it's not working. I've done that. I've been writing along and been like, this is not working, and scrap the whole thing and start it over. The beauty of pantsing. Or stop it, rearrange it, move it, play with it, and then keep writing. Obviously only do that if it doesn't disrupt your flow. For me, doing that makes me feel a little bit more like I have an established story going on. But if it would disrupt your flow, just go ahead and jot down some notes about the changes you want to make and keep going as though you have already made those changes. Number 7, when you have finished your first draft and you are going back through to edit for the first time, at the same time, make a scene breakdown. I use a spreadsheet on my computer and I write down what important beats happen in every chapter so that I can look back through and be like, does it seem like everything is flowing the way I want it to? Hey, when did this happen? I need to know that for book 2. So useful to have that scene breakdown. So similarly to how a plotter might do that beforehand, I just do it afterward, after I have drafted the book. Number 8, remember that unexpected things are going to happen and that's okay. Being able to roll with the punches is one of the superpowers of pantsers. I have found reading books that were plotted that sometimes, not always, plenty of plotters get past this, but sometimes plotters run into the problem where their plot doesn't actually work in practice and they find themselves rigidly unable to change because they've already written down the plot. The plot is there, it's perfect, it should work, but in the real world of the story, it doesn't work. And as pantsers, we develop the skill very quickly to roll with those punches and change and grow the book however it needs to change and grow. Now, many plotters may do this too, but they just do it during the outline phase. We do it in the middle of the action, in the middle of everything happening. And that's okay and beautiful, and I love it. And so if you are looking at getting into pantsing, you're looking to give it a try, know that stuff's gonna go awry and you just have to roll with it. Keep writing. It's the yes and principle, like improvisation. And number 9, because I know it's going to annoy a certain someone who I also know doesn't watch my videos or care what I have to say, let your characters lead. That's right, I said it. Now, obviously, this is not going to work for every single pantser, but I'm a very character-oriented pantser, and I will refer to my characters as real people and often say that they are doing some unexpected thing, and I know that really bothers some people. Some people I've seen, it's not just a certain cyborg queen, I've seen it from other people on Twitter. Some people are baffled by it. They think it sounds juvenile and silly, but I feel that it just comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of our process. Many of us pantsers are character oriented and we follow the characters first. What are they doing? Where are they going? How are they growing? A lot of times when I start writing, I have an ending in mind for the book, for the plot overall, but I also have an emotional climax in mind. Where do I want to get my characters? They start out here. Where do I want to get them emotionally? Where do I want to get their growth? Are they on a growth arc for this book? Where do I want that to end? What are some emotional beats I want to hit? So focusing on your characters can be really helpful for pantsers, because if you ever get stuck, you just go, what are my characters doing in this situation? What's something that they could do that maybe I wouldn't personally think of, but they would, because I view them as whole people with all kinds of thoughts and opinions and ways that they react to things. So as long as people keep making fun of me for it, I'm gonna keep saying, let your characters lead. There you go. Those were 9 more tips from me for pantsing your novel. And as always, remember, if any of those tips don't work for you, it's okay. You don't need to use them. Thanks so much for watching here today. I hope some of this advice was helpful to you. Don't forget that you can support me over on my Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel. especially updates on me and how my writing is going and just kind of all of the artistic stuff happening in my life, as well as just other life updates. But also, if you've ever wanted a critique from me, there are a couple of levels on my Patreon where you can get that, including one level where you can get a personal private video critique from me. So like this, but I'm critiquing your work. Also, you can purchase my books. They are on sale right now on Amazon, with another one coming out some point this year, that being a 2023. What years? I almost forgot what year it was. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
We're all fine here, thanks to my amazing patrons. Patrons like Roma, Pantsing Pony, Julius the Nice Dragon, Haley, Sam, Kira, Kihokaro, Mooney, Maria, Harley, Kirsten, Ronnie, Jojo Bookish, Lauren, Robin, Ursula, Caitlin, Jessica, KJ, Lafone, Amanda, Unicorn Jenny, Neon, Alyssa Green, Rita, Deborah, Afra, Melissa, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Marween, Kit, Hidden Glade, Light Julie, Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Sarah. With patrons like that, I've got nothing to fear from the evil empire. The evil empire being YouTube.